Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the AlteredConfusion Thursday Night Hangout. I, of course, am your host, Charlie, and I'm joined once again by the prolificometer himself, Zealeus.
What's up, good sir? It's a beautiful Thursday, and I'm glad that I have the annual podcast to keep my
annual,
days of the
weekly. It's not annual, it's weekly.
My annually weekly podcast to know exactly what day of the week it is, because without the show, I wouldn't know tomorrow's Friday, to be honest.
Well, there you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, this, of course, is a Thursday Night Hangout. This is a show for you, by you, where you provide us with a set of topics, and we try our best to discuss them. Or, if you decide that you want to really, keep us on our toes, you, of course, can add your topics, your thoughts, your suggestions in the chat, and we will try to pull them together, as it were.
There's so much to pull together that I just can't keep track.
Now, I do want to start things off a little bit differently than I have in previous weeks, and that is that I need to talk about how my sons have already learned the deep, dark ways of video game playing.
Well, given their father, I can't really find that's the most shocking thing I've heard all year.
Okay, so my youngest, who's 4 years old, his name is Finn. He kind of he's a button masher to the extreme. But for some reason, in a very, very, brief moment of absolute, gamer clarity, we're playing Super Smash Brothers, and that SOB walks up right behind me as I'm trying to beat the crap out of my other kid's character, and just wallops the fuck out of me and throws me across the screen.
Nice.
And he was laughing his ass off.
I approve of this kid.
Oh, God.
You guys signed up for a pro esports league already, apparently.
Yeah. Well, should we go into... The Mayo is using an ultra-wide monitor with extra screen space. Consider cheating in an online... Ooh. Is using an ultra-wide monitor with extra screen space considered cheating in an online shooter?
No, because anyone can... Because there's a certain understanding to me of the technology that people have on their devices. And one such thing is their monitor setup. So to me, there's nothing wrong with having the ultra-wide, particularly because it's part of the settings for a video game. And what I mean by that is, okay, so right, you have an ultra-wide screen, right? Let's just say it's 4,000, 3820, 4,000 pixels wide. Most people pixels wide is just a 1080p. Now, where it's not cheating is if the game developer has it built into there, the 1448 pixels, the 34.4 pixels wide, right? If their dimension settings allow you, the Mayo, with your ultra wide, to have that many pixels wide, then it's perfectly legal in my mind, because that is a built-in feature of the game. Where it would be cheating, though, is, let's just say that the highest resolution that the game developer allowed you to do was 1080p wide, right? Let's just say that was the built-in setting.
Yep.
And somebody figured out a hack to now make that so it was the 3440 pixels wide, even though that's not the expectation of a regular gamer. At that point, it would become cheating. So to me, when it comes to the cheating question, as far as peripherals, is what is the game developer kind of standardize? I think another good example is take the consoles, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you play, like Blizzard, for instance, has been very clear that if you play on the console, if you're playing Overwatch on the Xbone, is a very clear expectation that the only input device you're using is a joystick control. Thank you, gamepad.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, joystick's not correctly. You're using a gamepad, right? That's the expectation, is you are using the gamepad with the analog, because for 99.98% of the population, there is a mechanical advantage of using a keyboard and mouse over the gamepad, right?
Yep.
Now, if you use, and there are ways to use a keyboard and mouse with an Xbox, but because it requires basically circumventing both Microsoft and Blizzard's built-in functionality, that's where it becomes cheating, is because you're circumventing basically the expected hardware gameplay capabilities.
So I am also in agreement with Zealeus on this one. I think that if the developer allows for that in its native system, no hacks, no special stuff added in there. If it's a selectable option, then you're golden. Now that being said, if there are people out there who are challenging you in a shooter, and they are at a distinct disadvantage because you're playing an ultra-wide monitor versus whatever they're playing on, they probably need to update their equipment. That's their disadvantage.
You know what it reminds me of, though?
What's that?
Remember back in the day, like especially with fighter games, the big thing was for the consoles was to get the big old joystick with the turbo button. So you could like hold down a button, it would like automatically like auto-attack everything.
I have that for the SNES. I've got one where you can you can toggle it to basically hold down one of the buttons, or you could toggle it so that it does when you hit one button, it will rapid fire it like I think it's like 5 times in succession, faster than you can.
Nice.
Yeah,
it was like having a arcade joystick in your own room was really cool.
Yep. So, I mean, okay, so since we brought up the topic of cheating, let's talk about something that a lot of people have had gripes about. And for basically since Valorant came out, Valorant, of course, is the Riot Games shooter that's in closed beta. I, of course, have a closed beta key, and I've got my ass whooped a couple times, and so I'm gun shy about coming back. However, that being said, there have been a lot of issues, privacy issues, that have been basically circulating around this anti-cheat software that Valorant requires to be ran. It has to be active. Randed. It has to be active in order for you to play the game. Now, the thing is that software does not turn itself off when you're not playing Valorant. So there's a lot of people going, cello, what the hell? And so, okay, so there's a couple things. One, it's monitoring your system. To what extent? No one knows. The other thing is there's cases of this anti-cheat software actually blocking certain executables from running on your computer, which is interesting. But so Riot Games came out and said, all right, and I think it's a Reddit feed. They said, okay, here's how you do it. Now, that's all good and everything, but one would think, one who may have owned by Tencent, who is owned by China, also true, very true. Yep.
Which was part of the initial worry was, so data part sniffing. Of it too is because it's basically a rootkit on your computer. So part of it is you have to run it as a kernel executable, meaning it basically has admin privileges to everything going on your laptop or on your device.
Yep.
So that was part of the worry. Is like Charlie said, is we don't know. Like they've told us, like their posts say, they've had security professionals, including from Microsoft, come in and basically audit the software. And from all accounts, according to what they've told us, is they've got the, A-OK. And part of it is at a certain point, it's your kind of, I've kind of had two mixed feelings about it. On one hand, it seems like the whole rootkit part is pretty damn invasive, where it loads up from start and you honestly don't know what it's doing. On the other hand, there kind of comes a certain point where, I'm not just saying you should have blind faith in developers, but it kind of comes a certain point where you just kind of have to trust that basically the developer, when you install a game, isn't totally fucking over your computer and aren't going to do something crazy that you don't know what's going on in the background anyways.
Which unfortunately, I wish I could say that I do have, faith in developers and publishers out there. But let's be honest, the vast majority of the software that's put on your computer is to monitor your habits, so that they could sell it to the highest bidder to help marketing. But for this one, okay, and this goes across the board for basically anything that requires a background program to be running in order for you to play said game or run an application. The question that has come screaming out is, well, why don't you just turn it off when the software's not on?
The guy answered that question. Actually, it's because it runs a kernel level executable. Is basically the reason why. Basically, their argument was because when it originally came out and it came up in the original Reddit thread, what the guy was basically saying is, if you don't run, what the hell is anti-cheat software called? They have a name for it.
For Valorant?
Yeah, I forget what they call it. But their software, basically the idea is if you have let's just, for the sake of argument, let's call it a wall hack, right?
Yep.
Their argument is that if you have this wall hack installer on your hack on your computer, you can basically run it at a root level executable on your device, meaning that a regular anti-cheat software can't detect it. And so that's their argument of why their anti-cheat software needs to run at this kernel level, is so it can detect these wall hacks that otherwise would not be detectable. Take that for what you will. Like, again, the logic of it makes sense. Like, I'm not saying that their technology logic is false. I get the logic. It's whether or not you're going to trust a developer where you don't actually know what it's doing in the background.
Yep.
And to the Mayo's point, it's also had Tencent from China owns a large stake into Riot Games. Mm-hmm. And there's always the worry of what the hell are China companies doing? I mean, there's certain manufacturers based out of China who the United States has banned, ZTE being one of them, basically, because of security worries over basically hardware and software. And I think of it eventually spying on United States citizens on behalf of China. Mm-hmm. In this case, my gut feeling is that this rootkit is basically on the up and up, meaning that Riot is not actually doing anything nefarious of it, right?
Right.
I don't think they are. That's just my gut feeling. It's cost-benefit analysis too, right? For the amount of money that they would gain by having some kind of secret installer versus the amount of money they're going to lose if it turns out something nefarious is going on, it's not worth it because it all comes down to money in the end.
Right.
However, the other issue is, and this is a whole other philosophical debate behind basically having backdoors into encryption, is if anything has low-level access, there's a hack to it. That's just reality. There's no 100% secure system. It just doesn't exist. So if you have this low-level rootkit on your computer, at some point, it's going to become hackable. And when those people find out it's hackable, they're not going to tell you. It's just going to happen in the background. So that's the other worry behind having this kind of anti-cheat software in the background, is at some point, if some nefarious third party figures out that, hey, we can hack this, we now have low-level access to your device. So that's the other big worry behind the software.
Zealeus, can you say nefarious just one more time?
Nefarious.
There we go. So just to wrap up this part here, the official statement or official messaging for this is both the client and the driver of Riot Vanguard have been developed in-house, with both game safety and personal computer safety being a priority. We've made this commitment through extensive testing and by reviewing the product both internally and with external security reviews by industry experts. Our commitment to safety includes our commitment to your privacy. Riot Vanguard was made with Riot Games' dedication to data privacy, specifically in mind, and we worked with our legal and compliance teams to ensure it adheres to regional data privacy laws. Specifics on what data we use and collected are available with the following link.
And I would say, like, myself, if I wanted to play Valorant, I'd say to hell with it, and I'd still install it, even knowing that it has this software, because at some point, like, I could drive myself neurotic worrying about all the shit that gets installed on my device. Mm-hmm. So there comes a certain point where I'm just like, Screw it.
Yeah.
That's just kind of like, So, but at the other hand, I'm also, it's the beautiful thing is people can speak up and speak their minds and also offer reasons why this is a terrible idea.
And speaking of speaking up and being a terrible idea to speak up, now, of course, we're going to stay with the Valorant topic here. And Valorant has had a rash of sexual harassment happening during games.
Oh, dear.
Now, yeah.
So my kind of feeling about that is I wonder if part of that is, Valorant's the hot new item on the street. And so it's getting the FaceTime. And what I mean by that is my experience, unfortunately, is it's not exclusive to Valorant. Is you hear stories over and over in other video games also of, you join a random, most FPSs, 5 to 6 people. You join a random group and you hear stories, unfortunately, in all video games, not just Valorant, of, a female speaks up and let's just take Overwatch and they're a healer, so it's assumed that they're going to be Mercy. And they say, nope, I can play a main of Anna, who's we'll call it more skill-based, where you have to be able to aim. And immediately there's skepticism from the predominantly male players being like, oh, you're a female. Are you sure you want to actually play Anna? Because that's in the obvious insinuation there is that because you're a female, you therefore don't have the skills to play a more skill-based player.
Well, I think, and this is just, this is truly sad. I think that, unfortunately, as things stand, doesn't matter. Any type of online environment, it's, you have to travel in groups. You can't just solo because there's almost like a 95% chance you're going to get an asshat that's just going to, be an asshat. And it's just unfortunate.
And that was one of my favorite parts of when I used to play a lot of MMOs was those guilds. And you'd have females in the guilds, but it was also very well known that they were there because of their skill. And you don't give sexist shit over it because they'll whoop your ass. Which is totally, it still baffles me that Overwatch does not have any kind of guild system. I just don't. Kills me. So, however, the Mayo says Twitch is coming down on false Valorant streams. Streamers are streaming a video on demand of the game pretending to be live, labeling it drops enabled when they are not. Ooh.
Right. Well, the thing is, for those streams that actually are valid, that Valorant is basically, or Riot Games has said, that have basically all you got to do is put drops enabled, which basically means the drop of closed beta keys is enabled for watching this video. You just put that in there, and people are going to be flocking to it. And so, rebroadcasting. Unfortunately, I'm not surprised that there are a bunch of dickweeds doing that. I did the old-fashioned way. Damn it! I just watched this guy. I think he was from the UK for 2 straight days, and then I got my invite.
Nice.
But good for Twitch. Because that's absolute crap.
Because it also benefits them to have legit streams. Because part of it is you assume that what you're watching on Twitch is legitimately live, basically.
Yep.
And not, recorded.
Or they're hosting.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Isn't there, once you know if it's hosting, isn't there like a...
Yes and no. If you're not officially hosting, you're basically just screen capturing the video feed and broadcasting it as your own. You wouldn't know.
Interesting.
But if you choose to host, if you were to go to the Altered Confusion Twitch page, and I was hosting someone else's channel, it would show there would be a bar at the top that say currently hosting this channel.
Okay, I gotcha.
But yeah, that's part of the problem is that people are just literally screening the broadcast from somebody and just streaming that, which is just, oh, look at how many views I got, which unfortunately that's part of the algorithm to gain affiliate status so you can make money off your Twitch streams. But
actually sounds like a good side gig.
There's always a side gig. There's always a side hustle that people are doing, and it's one of those things. I like to call it the Belichick effect. It's legal until it's not. For those out there who do not know who Belichick is, Bill Belichick, he's the coach of the New England Patriots, and we usually have a Patriot fan in the crowd. And as I've said that and he hasn't responded, unfortunately, it looks like he might be running a little bit late tonight. So he missed out on that amazing opportunity to put in his 2 cents.
He'll never get sent again.
Ha, 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 ha. All right, so let us, since we're riding this Valorant train, let's take it just a little bit further, baby. And let's talk about a very bad sign for a professional esports league that involves Valorant.
Oh.
And that, my friends, is, and this is one of the reasons why I'm wearing my Atlanta Reign shirt and Overwatch League hat, is that the MVP of last season for the Overwatch Pro League, the San Francisco team, the guy up and quit and has gone to play Valorant. And this is a quote, and this is the things that we talked about constantly about what's wrong with Overwatch, and it's already, basically running on fumes. This is a direct quote from, oh my gosh, I want to make sure I get his name, Sinatra.
Sinatra?
No, the J Sinatra won is the MVP. He said, I straight up just lost passion for the game. I don't know what the real killer was for me, but maybe it was the 2-2-2 roll lock, which is exactly what we've been talking about. Maybe it was hero bans. I'm not sure. I just know it was hard for me to log on to play, and I didn't have fun in scrimmages/rake matches at all anymore. I did not make this decision in one day. It took a full month of nonstop thinking every day and sleepless nights from being so stressed. It fucking sucked, but ultimately I wanted to do what's right for me. And so he has moved on to play Valorant.
See, I still think, at least at the Overwatch League level, that there should not be hero bans.
Yes.
Or if there are hero bans, it's done like a MOBA style where there's strategy involved behind the other team getting the ban players. That I'm fine with. But there should not be pool bans, because part of the pool ban is it's weighted based on what the most popular players are also those weeks, which means usually, statistically speaking, the stronger heroes are going to be the most weighted,
right.
And therefore the strongest heroes that they want to play in the Overwatch League are going to be the ones mostly banned, which are just going to piss players off. Good strategy. And then I still think for the regular ladder, I'm totally in favor of the roll locks. I'm totally good with it. But if you're a pre-made group, you make your own custom six-man team pre-made group, or if you're like the actual Overwatch League, like we're talking making money, you should be able to make your team however you freaking want. Because at that point, it's about strategies. Like the 2-2 roll lock, especially if pickups groups, makes sense because otherwise the game experience just sucked. It was terrible. But if you're making your own six stack or you're playing for money, which I'm going to assume is a six stack because you're playing with people you know,
yep.
Roll lock is stupid at that point. If you can make it better for DPS, one tank, one healer strategy, go for it. At that point, you should be able to make whatever. So I think that's a big mistake at especially the Overwatch League level. I guess my question to that is, so, okay, I can get as a player why you don't like, or probably feel somewhat like arbitrary hero bans for the pools.
Mm-hmm.
But what about hero bans like at the MOBA level? What I mean by that is, so when you're playing a tournament or any kind of competition, is there's hero bans, right?
Right.
How do players feel about hero bans when it's made by another team versus when the company's the one making the bans? Is there a different kind of feeling in how it makes them feel about their gameplay experience?
Well, when it's the company level, that's just kind of dickish. The thing is, when you play, especially like, I've never played League of Legends, but I've played a shit ton of Smite.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there is a very unique strategy to bans that teams will do. They will research the shit out of their opponents. Go, okay, if we don't get, if we're not gonna get the first pick, we know this guy is a super awesome dude who could play this character. We're gonna ban him straight out. There's a lot of strategy to it, but also when it comes to a MOBA, there's a much deeper character pool to pull from. Yes, there are a shit ton of like range guys. There's DPS, there's healers, there's support, there's tanks, there's all that stuff, and and each one of them plays a little bit different, sure. But if you are, I'm trying to think of if you're like the best healer known to man, you're going to have your favorite that you can really kick ass on, and then you've got your other ones that you could fall back on. But everyone wants to take away your favorite. They want to remove that safety cushion. But the thing that pisses me off or is confusing to me is, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm going to be totally honest with you, I've watched Overwatch. I've never played Overwatch. But one of the things that really makes a MOBA enticing is that not only do you have a unique character that you're playing around with, but you're also getting to customize it with your build. If you've got like relics or weapons or armor or something that could change, and then of course mid game you of course could sell all that stuff and retool your build for late game. But for Overwatch, it's basically you select the guy, you've got your skills, go, right?
Yeah. So basically, the economy really in Overwatch, which I know other games have too. But their economy is basically the alt economy. Mm-hmm. Basically, team fights are won and lost around alts. So especially like at the higher levels, basically if you can't track alts, you're not going to win the game. Mm-hmm. That's a huge part of the game, especially with counters to alts and all that fun stuff. So that's really, when we talk about Overwatch, you talk in the economy in game. It's usually in-game alt economy, and then a more minutiae level would be cooldowns, but really at a minimum is alt economy.
Okay, so for those out there who are may not familiar, what's an alt?
So basically, let's take for instance, okay, here's a good one. Mm-hmm. New hero Echo. Mm-hmm. Their alt is basically, so you're playing a game, right? Mm-hmm. And you have QWE, normally use your normal skills, right? Usually you have a primary fire, a secondary fire, and then like, depending on your hero, some kind of like utility skill. Okay. Maybe like a dash or teleport or something, right? Mm-hmm. Somewhere in that combination. And what an ult is, it's basically super duper power, right?
Ult is an ultimate.
Yeah, so different characters, different ones. So it's like, yeah, Reaper who will come down, he'll do this like spinny thing and he shoots a bunch of people with a shotgun and he can kill 6 people at once. Mm-hmm. Every hero is a different one. And so like Echo just came out, a new one, and she can basically imitate ults of the opposing team. So she gets like free ults. So every character has their own ult. Some considered better or worse than others. Diva, a very popular hero, she ults. She creates a big bomb that explodes. If you get caught in the bomb, you die. So it just depends on what's going on with the ults. Mm-hmm. And the reason they're important is because that's usually what wins or loses fights in the game, is who has basically the faster ults and who uses their ults better. But you know what those ults are, right? Like
Right.
every character only has one ult. So you go in and you know that if you're facing like a diva, for instance, because you know who's on the enemy, you know that you're watching out for a diva bomb because that's the only ult they have, right?
Right.
And so you know to watch out for these. Whereas in a MOBA, for instance, you don't quite know what upgrades your enemy has purchased. They have to, you know, their ult because they have that ult, but what are their, you know, did they have magic or do they have physical damage? You don't know that.
Are they doing piercing damage, or they protect against magic, or they protect against physical? Their crit rating higher. You know, that's all those small little tweaks that, of course, you know, at the high level, of course, you know, gamers are going to be able to just take a quick look and go, oh yeah, okay, I see what their build is. But at the same time, there's so much extra variety. You know, it's like painting a picture and being able to use. Instead of Overwatch is like being able to paint a picture with 32 colors. And in MOBAs, it's like being able to paint a picture with 256 colors.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's fighting words.
But that's the truth. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It's unfortunate. And I think that in some regards, speaking about the Overwatch Pro League versus the what Riot Games already come out and said about the pro esports for Valorant, Riot Games wants a more natural kind of like root campaign. You know, it's like a naturally meld itself league, and then they'll probably pump it up to where the League of Legends is, where I think that Blizzard saw an opening and they're like, oh, we're going to do this. And I think that it's interesting. I do like the fact that they're landlocked or location locked things, but I think that the level of sophistication in the game became a very shiny, it's not really all that spot after about season 1.5. And we're going into the third season now. And unfortunately, Atlanta got their ass whooped last week, so I'm mourning.
Oh, I'm really curious to see how the Overwatch League survives, to be honest.
They need to retool. I don't know how you retool, but
I think the first season they had momentum going that first season. But kind of like the game, it's stagnated. And you know, it's every imaginable bad thing that could happen could happen. You know, the MVP leaves the game. You know, this year they wanted to do the whole, which had controversy to start with, like the whole one. Overwatch will be interesting. But originally this season they wanted to go play in the cities. You know, they had the Atlanta, they had the Houston Outlaws. All these. This season they were supposed to go play at locations, which had some controversy due to travel. But then obviously the coronavirus put the kibosh on that.
Yeah.
So I'd be really interested to see how Overwatch League goes from here. And I also think with Overwatch 2, it's gonna say a lot what happens in Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised. Well, first off, Overwatch League 2 or Overwatch 2, not Overwatch League. Overwatch 2, to my understanding, is supposed to be really about the PvE. According to Jeff Kaplan, he's like the social guy for Overwatch, basically. He does all the shows for them. The original theory behind Overwatch 2, now it's been a while since you said anything about it.
Right.
Like, Overwatch 2 is basically an extension of Overwatch 1. Overwatch 1 will still exist, meaning that if new characters and stuff comes out, they'll still be usable by the core Overwatch game because they don't want to upset PvP competitive balance. Overwatch 2 is supposed to be about the PvE experience and that stuff.
That makes sense.
I don't know if who knows if that's going to change. I don't think Blizzard honestly knows what the hell they're doing with Overwatch 2 when it first announced it. That's kind of my gut feeling. So, yeah. And obviously now with Valorant coming out, that's a huge... You know, it's kind of basically the we'll call it serious FPS, like a CSGO or a Battlefield or one of those. You had Overwatch, and now Valorant seems like it's very quickly going to take over Overwatch, honestly. It seems like people were already kind of tired of Overwatch. And now you got Valorant, which is kind of that same kind of graphical style, both a more variety of gameplay, and it just seems like Valorant's ready to already basically take over Overwatch's mantle.
So I'm going to be totally honest with you, and I feel like some people are going to be screaming blasphemy at me, but to be honest with you, after watching, first of all, Altered Confusion is in Atlanta, Georgia, and of course, one of the gaming studios one of the very few gaming studios in Atlanta, or actually in Alpharetta, which is just north of Atlanta, is a gaming studio called High Res. And High Res, of course, is like kind of like they've splintered off to different silos or whatever. But High Res is the company behind Smite and Paladins. And to be honest with you, now I'm going to preface this again. I've never actually played Overwatch. However, I've watched a shit ton of Overwatch, and I've watched a shit ton of Paladins, and to be honest with you, I find Paladins more exciting than Overwatch, simply because there are, there's little minute building changes you can make for your character, and I feel like there's a deeper pool, and I feel like, there's more variety. I just feel that there's the variety. Yes, does Paladins have it all right? No, God, Jesus, no, not even a Smite. To be honest with you, there is not a game out there that has everything right. But when I'm looking at Valorant, and I'm looking at Overwatch, and I'm looking at Paladins, as of right now, and yes, I'm slightly biased, I would go Valorant, Paladins, Overwatch. I mean, don't get me wrong, I want to support Atlanta Reign. I want, I am a huge Atlanta sports homer, minus the Braves. That's because I don't like baseball. But I'm a huge Falcon fan, huge Atlanta Hawks fan. When we had the hockey team, Thrashers fan.
Woo!
No CSGO. Okay, so the reason why I don't list CSGO is because I hate that game with a fucking passion. It's not that it's a bad game. It's just I suck so hardcore in that game that I'm not even going to list it, because it's probably, I understand, it's an amazing game. I've watched the streams that they were doing from the sound stage at Turner Broadcasting here in Atlanta, and Jesus, those guys are amazing. But when it comes to me actually playing, like if I were to look at those, okay, fine, CSGO, add CSGO in there. I'm going to just be honest with you. If you have Overwatch, you have CSGO, you got Paladins, you got Valorant. I, of course, will play CSGO for me just feels too real. I know it's going to sound weird, but I kind of have like a bias against games that are too realistic. Like, I'm not huge into like Battlefield or any of like the Modern Warfare, Call of Duty. There we go. Call of Duty, that kind of stuff. I want to be taken to like a fantasy realm where shit's not possible. CSGO, that shit could happen. Battlefield could happen. Valorant, there's things that could happen. There's things that definitely, with enough science and money could probably happen, but it's a little bit more outside of, the realm of possibility. But yeah, be honest with you, Blizzard has a problem, a big one, and it's just being highlighted by how popular Valorant has become. One, because you're working with scarcity. Not everyone could play it. But if you're a big name, Riot Games could be like, hey, we know you're an amazing first-person shooter player. We'll give you a closed beta with some added bonuses if you want it. And then you hook them. And that's exactly what's happening. Is you got these pro-level guys who, because of COVID-19, you're not moving around. Yes, there's the league's still happening, but it's in a much, weirder kind of way. So you're getting to cherry pick people who are basically locked in their place. But But basically, what a lot of people are saying out there is that Valorant is a nice. It's a tactical shooter in the vein of Counter-Strike that also includes Overwatch-like hero abilities, and also is being backed by Riot Games, which is not a bad thing.
I think they have a history of being able to do the esports, obviously with League of Legends. It's just Overwatch has been out for a couple of years. It's just
nothing's really changed.
Yeah, it's they come up with some new maps and some new heroes, but that's really about it.
Like even the number of heroes and maps is like minuscule.
Well, and the issue you run to a game with like Overwatch though is like if you come out with a new, very different hero with a really new special ability, it's also going to probably break the game in terms of like who's OP'd. Because if you get a completely new hero with a new strategy, there's also a good chance there's not a counter for that hero, which means that they're now going to be OP'd. And you get this situation like Brigitte, which she came out, was the most powerful hero in the game, and now she's been basically nerfed to a point of non-existence. So that's the other issue you get to when you come up with a hero like that.
Well, I mean, they're in like in some of the competitive leagues out there, what they do is they do a version lock where they don't add characters until a certain point where it's kind of like everyone is truly outside of the professional esports realm is really what their version is like the beta version for the professional level. I'm going to talk, I'm talking from experience of watching high-res games, Smite and, of course, Paladins, is that they never play the latest release when they do the professional esports tournaments. The characters are not, they're not released at the same time. Now, that being said, they, when it's not a tournament and they just want to play some ranked play online, by all means, they'll have the regular, everyone else's version and be able to test out those new characters. But the Mayo is a pro Call of Duty player now? Really? Sweet. Good for you.
I'm definitely not a pro player. I don't have Twitch skills.
I've been able to dip my toe in the water a couple of times at like a semi-pro level for Smite and Paladins, but that's about it.
That was definitely not me.
I had good strategies, and as long as I did ranked play with individuals that I knew, if I do like random, because this goes back to the yes, it's not. I'm not being sexually harassed, but I am being harassed. If there is a baby mode, I will play it. Yes, same here. If you do not get penalized for being a sitting duck, like you can't shoot and move at the same time, I want that mode. But one of the reasons why I stopped playing Smite and Paladins was the fact that when I didn't have like my gaming crew there, and I would try to play, and I'd just do a random solo, the amount of dickheads on there. On casual play, I understand. If you want to take my lack of skills out on me during a ranked play, like a ranked match, sure, yeah, that's fine because it's ranked. I should be good. But if I play in a fucking casual match and I'm just dicking around with a new character, I do not need you screaming at me the entire game about how I should never. My favorite thing is you should never have bought this game. You should have just left it on the shelf, dude. It's a free-to-play game.
Can I yell at you?
No.
Oh.
I tell you what, if you could beat me in Paladins or Smite, or in Legends of Runeterra, you can yell at me.
Well, that doesn't seem fair.
I know. Isn't that weird? No, but seriously, it's my biggest issue, and this goes back to if anyone out there has played Smite, there is a mode. I want to call it Assault. I could be wrong, but Assault, I believe, is basically each team gets assigned, I think it's 5v5. Each team is assigned 5 random characters.
5
random characters, 5v5, okay? So there's a very good chance that you've never played that character or you suck at that player. But when people go in there and are total asshats about like, you should never have chosen that character. I didn't choose it. You suck at this player. I can't believe you're trying to play him. I'm not.
You chose it by your mere existence, sir.
Like, that's the shit that pisses me off. Like, man, look, when I do casual, I want to, you want to have fun. Yeah, sure. Sometimes I get my ass whooped. I'm okay with that. Sometimes I need an ass whooping. Like what happened today during one of my matches of Legends of Runeterra. This person absolutely wiped the floor with me, and it's the first time I've ever surrendered. Because every time I try to do something, they just blew it up in my face. I'm like, you know what? Good game, sir. Good game. Now, that being said, I did win out on my first leg of my expedition, which is an awesome mode. If you have not played Legend of Runeterra, you know it's a collectible card game online by Riot Games, and there's this mode called I think it's Expedition, where literally you build a random deck. And then you go. And if you win, you can kind of like switch some cards out or maybe gain some new cards. And it's a lot of fun. It's nerve-wracking as fuck, but it's a lot of fun.
I don't think I played that version of it.
You have to get enough experience to unlock it's like the Tuesday vault. And in the vault, you'll sometimes get expedition coins. You have to have the coins in order to do it, or you need the shards, enough shards to do it. But it's a lot of fun. If you haven't, I would highly recommend that you look at the videos from today on the Altered Confusion Twitch page, because the last two were me playing the entire first leg of the expedition.
Ooh, you play it all, sir.
Yes. Speaking of online gaming, I have to do a shout out to professional athletes out there who continue to do amazing and unique things. My shout out this time is to Serena Williams and a bunch of other celebrity professional tennis players. They are, over this coming weekend, they will be playing a Mario Tennis Tournament live on Facebook. Mario Tennis Aces double tournament this weekend.
Interesting. Are you going to watch it?
The players will be paired with other celebrities and athletes.
That's
cool.
Just
going to be fun. I mean, that just looks like, and it's being called Stay at Home Slam. I'm totally for that. And the thing is, like, this is not the first time that you've had, professional level sports players doing something that's kind of fun and kind of silly. The NBA had a horse tournament, which was quite interesting. And then there were some football players who did a Madden league, and then there was basketball players who did a NBA 2K players only league. So and a lot of these events, they're just raising money for charity, which is fucking awesome. Yeah.
You got some good stuff in there.
Indubitably. Now, let's talk about potentially good, or maybe not good stuff. So, with this wonderful or terrible, I guess, got to look at it, the silver lining in the clouds of this COVID-19, you're locked in your house 24/7 thing. This has allowed for companies to try a couple different things. One of the companies that has tried something, and many other companies have done it as well, is Universal Pictures. Universal Pictures decided to release some of their movies onto video demand instead of putting it into theaters because, well, that won't go happen. No one's going to, because the theaters had to close and no one's going to go to a theater. So what they found was their sequel to the Trolls movie, Trolls World Tour, made more money in 3 weeks on the video on demand platform than the first movie, Trolls, the original one, made in 5 months at theaters. Now, they made that statement, and so, of course, AMC, one of the big theater providers, started pouting and stomping their feet, and you said, you know what? Screw you guys. No Universal films will be shown at any of our theaters when we get back into operation.
Well, that's certainly one approach.
Yeah. Like, okay. I mean, I understand that you're having a hissy fit. Totally understand. And it sucks that, first of all, I don't think theaters are going to go away completely. I think that we need to look at more than a movie geared towards children. Because I'm going to be totally honest with you. If it shuts my kids up for 2 hours, I'm going to pay whatever it takes. Because I need some, I need some quiet time. But I mean, like if it was like, I don't know, the sequel to John Wick. If there's a fourth John Wick out there.
Ooh, that's good.
And they went on video. Well, actually, that shit would probably still do really good. I'm thinking of a movie. God damn it. Independent films, maybe. I don't know.
I thought you said Independence Day.
Independence Day. No, I'm just saying, like, I understand. We are truly going to a only digital, existence when it comes to gaming and movies and songs and TV and all that stuff. I see it, but I don't think the correct way to handle it is, well, then you keep doing that and make your money. We don't want to support you. Like, I don't understand how that foot and mouth. Yes, foot and mouth.
I mean, in this case, part of the problem is people are already not going to theater as much as they were because
it's expensive as fuck.
I mean, for the COVID-19 lock-in, I got myself a beautiful new 55-inch TV for less than $1,000. And that's actually expensive for a 55-inch TV.
Yeah.
I did my research. I got a higher end one on purpose. Let's be honest. You can get a 55-inch TV for $300 from Walmart nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about it, that's the equivalent of basically 10 movie theater goings. So, even if you go to the theaters, you can buy a 55-inch TV and 10 movie goings. If you get popcorn and Coke and all that stuff, that's even less goings. And then a couple more movie goings, and you got yourself a nice little surround sound TV system. So, years ago when, we all remember us old people remember the days when having a big screen TV at your house was a big freaking deal, right?
Oh, yeah.
Whereas now, if you have anything smaller than a 45-inch TV is your main TV, it's dude, that's not even a TV. So it's the game has also changed a lot. It's do I want to go to a movie theater where I know inevitably, even though, to be fair, that, I'll give, the movie theater companies credit. They try to say, don't be a dipshit, turn your cell phone off and don't, etc. There's always at least one person who I might kill. Always at least one.
Right. And I think that that's part of it too, is that, with, for better or for worse, if anyone's been paying attention to me for a while, you know that I'm still a huge fan of hot seat gaming. Hot seat gaming, of course, is you're in the same place gaming.
Yep.
There's a lot of people out there who thrive in, online gaming because they don't have to deal with other individuals. Yes, they could. You could still get harassed online, but you could always mute them. Or report them at the end of the game, and if you get reported enough, you get, I think, a timeout. At least that's what I think it was what High Res did, was that you get timed out if you get flagged enough times. Anyways, I think that, the great benefit, yes, it's all about the experience in the theaters, but now it's the same as it's what a lot of professional sports are running into, is that your setup at home almost rivals what you could do, and if you're actually there, unfortunately. Now, of course, yeah. I will, if I'm given the choice of either watching an Atlanta Hawks game on TV versus the State Farm Arena, I'm always going to State Farm. But, the mayor says, I can now buy movie tickets in my Ocular VR and watch the movie in a virtual theater. And Gunny Chief says, the only time I go to the movies is when a Marvel movie comes out. And I'm almost in total agreement with you, but I think that I have to say it has to be something that I am dying to see. Even if it's in the MCU. Even if it's MCU, if it's not like, front and center, like, I've got to see this, there's a chance that because I'm a parent, I have a job, I may not be able to get to all the movies. And so...
Okay, well, here's a look at it. Did you see either of the Avengers Endgames in theaters? Because those are about as front and center as you get.
I saw the first one.
The second one was even more of a big deal.
I know, and I wanted to so bad, but it just didn't. Unfortunately, life does weird shit.
I mean, it's not. There's a couple scenes there when you're in the theater.
All right, Slick, don't.
I'm just saying, there's definitely a couple scenes where there's definitely like, holy shit. I'm not saying anything else.
No, but the thing is, in this wonderful, like, fast pace, I need it now. We can get our groceries delivered to our house. We get our movies delivered via your internet connection, your TV via internet connection. How many people really want to drive to a movie theater to wait in a long ass line okay, yes, you can use Fandango or Movie Phone or wherever the fuck's out there. But let's just say you can't do that. You have to wait in line, potentially not being able to see that movie, not because they ran out of tickets. Or you could just pay $20 and get the video on demand from Amazon Prime. And ta-da!
This is very true, sir. Very true.
So you could literally have a private screening for all your friends and family at your house because you have a big-ass TV with amazing surround sound, and everyone puts, like $2 in a bucket, and you've not only paid for the video on demand, but you've actually come out on top.
I think that's illegal, but that's okay.
No, it's not. I'm not making. Look, it is a family gathering where I could just say all the money is going to for future events held at this location.
It's a likely story, sir.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
No, but it's unfortunate, and me, I've tried my damnedest to not bow down to like a completely digital distribution because I like my tchotchkes, but gonna be honest with you, I'm seeing the light more and more just because clutter is a bitch. But that being said, I do have a question. And I know this is kind of a little bit late in the show, but I'm going to ask anyways.
Ask away, sir.
So, as you know, it's more likely for a sequel of a game to come out nowadays. There's not a ton of original IP that come out. And then, of course, you have those games that come out on an annual basis, those being like FIFA or Madden or whatever. So let me ask you this question.
Ask away.
Okay, so I a little backstory real quick. I was playing a game I was looking for a game on my Switch, and I found a game which sounded really cool, but it was the second one of that series. And the first one is not available on the Switch. However, it's a continuation of a story. So my question for you, lovely audiences, as well as Zealeus, is should there be a requirement for any game that has a continuation of a story to have the previous chapters also available on that platform? Like, I'm not talking Final Fantasy. Jesus Christ. Final Fantasy, yes, there's like 50 million of them out there, but they don't connect. I'm saying, like, if I don't
think there should be a requirement necessarily, because let's be honest, there's probably a lot of like developmental, and depending on what the platforms are, there could be a lot of back-end stuff they have to do. There could be, depending especially on the size of the development house, that might not actually be possible. However, I don't think it's unreasonable to have a synopsis at the beginning of that episode. So let's take, for instance, like TV shows, right? A lot of TV shows, if they're, most of the bigger TV shows nowadays, they're no longer episodic, they're completely serial. it's not uncommon for at the beginning of each season to have some kind of like couple minute synopsis of, highlights that happened in the previous season.
Mm-hmm.
That I think is more than fair. Because even if you played the previous ones, it probably doesn't hurt, let's be honest, to have like a quick little overview of like, okay, remind me again what happened with the characters in the previous one. So in a roundabout way, I think, yes, there should be a, kind of reminder of what happened in previous seasons, or in this case, previous games, so that, not everybody is totally lost as far as what happened.
The Mayo agrees with you. Prelude to what leads up. And to be honest with you, for me, it's like, I believe a prelude would cut it. However, when it's something, if it's a really in-depth game where there's like character development, especially character relationship development in the first one that then continues into the second one, I don't know if a prelude is going to be enough for me to truly get, that extra oomph of the game, because there's a lot of games out there that build on like this emotional, basis. I was just playing a game recently called Old Man's Journey. Wait. Genichi says, I think Mass Effect series did it right with the lead up, so you didn't have to play one, but you could make choices. Would you pay more for basically both copies of the game? Yes, I would. I would definitely. I'd pay like a bundle. Are you talking like bundle? Or I guess it would be a bundle, but I would definitely. There you go. How about this? Well, of course, having once upon a time been a developer, I understand that this is probably logistically crazy as fuck. But if you were given the choice of just play the second one with let's just say that the prelude is in the second one from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But you have the option of either just playing the second one or paying extra and getting number 1 and 2 together.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. That being said, yes, Zealeus, I know that there are, ands, ifs, and buts behind the scene. They changed the architecture, graphics engines, all that stuff.
There's always a catch, sir.
Now, that being said, I call slight shenanigans simply because whatever Square Enix has done to put Chrono Trigger on 5 million different platforms, that secret should allow for previous games that are story-driven that lead into another to be on every single platform that second one is on.
Oh, and they continue to do it, do they not? I mean, it just came out on the Switch. They came out with Secret of Mana. Not Secret of Mana. It's
Trial of Mana, but that's a new one, isn't it?
Yeah, Trial of Mana. So
is that
again,
a new one, or is it like a compilation?
No, it's a remake of something 3. I forget the actual full title is what it is. No, it's an older game that they've just remade for the Switch and PS4.
Seiken Densu 3.
Yes, thank you. So no, it's a game that's been out for years, but they've remade it. If we're ever right, it's a good game. But it seems to be the thing to do now.
But the thing is, Chrono Trigger's never been remade. They literally just throw that shit onto the latest and greatest platform. Kingdom Hearts is all over the place in terms of systems. Yes, I agree. Now, of course, I am not saying that, if you have a game on the PlayStation 1 and there's a sequel that the story continues, you got to put it on the PlayStation 1. I mean, that is ridiculous. But that being said, I would love to be, yes, now we get in the argument of backwards compatibility, which if you've watched enough of the show, you'll know that I am a full supporter of backwards compatibility. That's why I have the old school PlayStation 3 that has the dual processor on there so that I do hardware emulation instead of software emulation, which for all the kids playing at home means that there is no magic program that tries to make all the games work. There's an actual chip, a processor that basically plays the game as if it was actually on a PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2, so you don't have issues.
Well, it sounds like basically Xbox Series X, it sounds like it's hardware emulation versus software, but not really 100% sure on that.
I'd be very interested to see if you are going to a digital-only platform, but you have, I mean, okay, hypothetically, let's say that your next generation console is literally like a stream box. You're playing shit from the cloud. However, because you're not having to put most of the processor, heavy lifting on your stream box, could you then, since you're saving some money, could you then have hardware emulation to play the backward stuff so you could the individual would be able to continue to play their existing library?
It's a good question, sir.
Because at that point, what you've got is not only you've got a system that's going to play the next gen games, but also if there's like a slow trickle up for the new library, you have all these other games to fall back on the new console. So the new console is still getting constantly used.
Well, I think that's such a thing. That's a huge push for both the PS5 and Xbox Series XXX.
Mm-hmm.
Is going to be that backwards compatibility. Because I think we kind of talked a little bit last week or the week before, where it's what kind of actual graphical improvements, because like we're already at HD gaming levels.
Yep. With
the 1080p TVs that most people still have. A lot of people still don't have,
4K.
They will not have, for that matter, 4K TVs. Because let's be honest, most streaming services don't stream true 4K anyway. So what's the point of even getting a 4K TV?
You could thank your ISPs for that. Actually, you could thank the United States government for. Oh no, not going there. Not going there.
Well, it's ironic though, because these months, basically data caps have been lifted, and guess what? The internet still magically works. It hasn't fallen apart. Imagine that. Anyways, off our political diatribe.
No. Okay, so Mayo says the frame rates and load times will be the improvement. And yes, absolutely. Yeah, be able to process things faster. So it's, it's like if you watched a football game on a standard TV versus a 1080p TV, and someone's sprinting down the football field, it's blurry on the standard, but it's like, it's much crisper. So I yeah, absolutely that. And then also load times. Please, for the love of all that's holy, can we make load times a thing of the past? I can't tell you, one of my least favorite little tricks that developers do is they make you backtrack. But it's like just momentary backtracks. Like, oh shit, there was that thing in that room over there. So you run back, load screen. Then go to the next area, load screen. Then go to the next area, load screen. All right, I got the item. Now go back, load screen, load screen, load screen.
What was it? I think it was the first Mass Effect, where it was the elevator loading scene.
Yep.
Going between the Normandy and the actual Citadel. And on the Xbox 360, it was like a minute.
Yeah.
And it was actually, I remember when they did an AMA on Reddit, it was one of like the questions. It was like, why the bloody hell is the waiting time going from the Normandy up to the Citadel so long? And it's like, yep, it's just loading time it takes to load assets and shit. And that's, with the new consoles, you're going to have the super fast, proprietary, cool SSD XXXXL with special super RAM and everything
proprietary
else.
Bullshit.
M2 special, though. It's not just M2. It's like M2X to the X power.
No, I will say this though. I do find it entertaining. If you're going to have a load screen, make it interactive, in some regard. There are games out there that kind of like stupid shit that you could do, but at least allows the gamer to have an active role while all that shit's loading.
Well, they kind of tried to do it, because I remember in that loading screen, it basically, like there was news in the background. So hypothetically, actually, depending on what you did, in the game, the news would actually update.
Right.
So like you'd hear. So there was a little bit of trying to do that, which I'll give them credit for. It was just one of those things.
Yeah.
It was obnoxious.
Gunny Chief says, I'm happy the new consoles will have SSD.
Yes.
Just don't have whatever the fuck the processor was in my old computer, because that chewed up an SSD and spat it out.
Oh, that'd be sad.
Yeah. Yes. It was quite sad. That's why I have a new system. Okay, so I want to stop. I want to take a quick little break. No, yield. No, not caution. I want to take this moment to thank a couple of, or a bunch of friends of the show. All these individuals have been devout supporters of us and are either patrons or are just really cool guys. So I do want to do a couple shout outs real quick. And the first one is all about something called the Indie Cluster. It's run by a gentleman by the name of Ron Jones. He is a phenomenal guy. He basically, what we do with, trying to give the spotlight for independent developers, he does by helping give space to conventions. He buys the space, and then he shares it with a bunch of different independent developers who, of course, wouldn't be able to afford it if that wasn't the case. The time that we really see Indie Cluster at Altered Confusion, of course, is BomoCon, and also at Southern Fried Gaming as well. So big shout out to Indie Cluster. And then, of course, we could not leave this person out of doing shout outs. And that, of course, is an amazing man by the name of Craig Campbell. He is the creator behind NerdBurger Games. He has created games such as Mergers and Acquisitions, Capers, Die Laughing, and they're all really easy to pick up, especially Die Laughing, but they're all pretty intuitive, a lot of fun, and of course, anything could happen in those games. Case in point, I have found very creative ways to really screw things over and get my ass whooped at those games.
Your allies always greatly appreciate your creativity and how to basically screw up the game.
Everyone does. And then one of our most favorite institutions here in Atlanta is an amazing bar called Battle and Brew. It's for us, the wonderful nerdy people out there, be it board games, be it PC games, be it console gaming, or if you just like food that's got gamer names and drinks. Be careful. The mana potions are tasty, but they will kick your ass later on that evening. But
that's what makes it so beautiful.
Yes, and I, of course, will begin my Chicky Parm Parm with a side order of Little Mac in the very near future. So thank you very much. And then one more shout out on that, of course, is to the man that has basically helped me out a shit ton the past 2 years. His name is Ryan. He is the master of Hero Chiropractics here in Atlanta, Georgia. He has done amazing work, at least on me, to alleviate some of the aches and pains that I receive, especially when it comes to long gaming sessions. And of course, I've got some other fun issues with being a 6'4" person, but this guy is da bomb diggity. So shout out to those individuals. Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be part of the Patron Nation, all you got to do is go to patreon.com/AlteredConfusion. Any size donation would be highly appreciated. If you decide that a monthly donation is not the route you would like to go on, but you want to do a financial or monetary donation, you can if you're on Twitch, you can go to the panel right below, and it's like a donate now button. It's a one-time donation. You go straight to our PayPal account, and then of course helps pay for convention prices, fees, equipment updates, and all that stuff. Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, there are quite a few people out there who don't want to do something financially, but do want to give Altered Confusion something to show off during their shows. All you need to do, my friends, is send whatever it is of that true awesomeness to 1551 Dunwoody, that's DUNWOODY, Village Parkway, number 88276, Dunwoody, Georgia 30338.
Nice.
I just checked it today. Sadly, there's nothing but a bunch of freaking junk mail. But I'm not all that surprised, as I would hope that no one would be trying to brave the U.S. Postal Service to send me something. You could send Altered Confusion something once everything is in the clear. Or if you want to find a way to do it online, by all means. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, I believe we've reached the end of our show. I want to thank I know. I do want to thank everyone for tuning in. It's been a blast, as always. We do this every single week. Thursdays from 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, Zealeus.
You finally remembered.
Yes. We basically run for about an hour and 15 minutes, a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on, the flow of the conversation. But, of course, tell your friends. If I get my shit together, which I really do need to do, usually
just don't bring it on the show.
No. These videos, we do a video version and a podcast, an audio version. The audio version's on all of your favorite podcast streaming platforms, which is really it's Podbean and then iTunes, and I think we're on the Google one. I know I run. Okay, this is gonna sound really weird, but we're on the Zune podcast store. I didn't even know there was a Zune podcast store.
Zune?
Yeah,
no
Zune,
way.
baby.
That's awesome.
I tell you what, next show that next week, I will show off my Microsoft Zune because I still have it. That being said, ladies and gentlemen,
I have something. Oh, what was it? I gotta see if I can find something in my storage. It was it was a big white box. It starts with the X.
I don't know.
It was a music player that started with the X. Oh, so we have to remember next week to bring our old school music players.
There you go. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, you can get the video via YouTube and, of course, your podcasts from Podbean, or you could go to your podcast store. Now, of course, for any of those things, you please subscribe, follow, get notifications, all that jazz. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank everyone for tuning in to the Altered Confusion Thursday Night Hangout. For myself, Charlie, and Zealeus, it's been a pleasure giving you everything coming our heads, our mouths, and, of course, our hearts. We'll be back next Thursday for another amazing Thursday Night Hangout.
Remember, kids, keep on gaming in the free world.
Amen to that, brother.